Now, JSW Group's business-to-business e-commerce arm says it expects to break even this fiscal year, and it pushes toward profitability. The platform, which sells manufacturing and construction materials to micro, small, and medium enterprises, has a registered user base of more than 84,000 MSMEs across India. JSW One is also eyeing an IPO within the next 2 years, which could make it one of India's first conglomerate-led B2B e-commerce platforms to turn profitable. Gaurav Sachdeva is Joint Managing Director and CEO of JSW One Platforms, and he joins us now. Thanks so much, Gaurav, for taking our questions as they'll be coming right now. Appreciate you coming on board.
Thanks, Amitoj, for having me here.
It's our pleasure. Now, I just want to start by asking you about the GDP numbers, because we've seen what could be termed a strong positive surprise, or once again reignite that debate on how the data is actually calculated. What's your take?
I think the GDP numbers are very strong. 8.2% growth on a real basis is really, shows the resilience of the economy. I think that the nominal growth, right, which is at 8.7%, could have been better. And if you drill down on the GDP growth numbers, right, you actually see that both the industrials, manufacturing, and within industrials, manufacturing and construction are really, keeping pace. Government spending, which was a bit of a drag, it contracted by about 2.7%, right? That's something that, that government is working on. We do see signs of that relaxing in Q3. So yeah, overall positive for us as a business.
Okay, can you give us a sense of what you're learning on the ground? Because there's been this debate around the data and what it really represents. We also know that manufacturing was one of the positives of this GDP data, ahead of 9%. But what are you learning on the ground, as you are the registered user base of what? More than 84,000 MSMEs across India?
Yeah. I think so, before we get there, right, you'll have to just understand that MSMEs are the backbone of this economy. Right, all manufacturing that we do, it ends up translating into value chains where MSMEs are, either contributing directly or indirectly into this value chain. MSMEs today, form about 25%, expected to go to about 30-35% of overall GDP as it grows across. In our total manufacturing base, manufacturing forms about 17% of our GDP as a country. Right, and that's also is expected to grow to about 25% in the next 4 years by FY30. Now, for on ground, we do had, if you look at H1, we did have shocks from tariff, we did have shocks from slow government spends. But what really happened was that there was redistribution of supply chain, right? So that's one thing that really is on the ground. It's playing out, and the growth continues to be the way it is. For us, we were about 12,500 crores of GMV for a full year last year. We did about 8,000 crores in H1, and have strong momentum for H2.
Okay, I want to get to your profitability conversation, but can you just throw some more color on redistribution of supply chains, that comment?
So redistribution of supply chain is, evident. I mean, the export market in Indian MSMEs really export. Now with tariffs in the US, MSMEs are looking for exports into GCC. They're looking for exports into Europe. So that redistribution is the one that I spoke about.
And how much of that is happening? Can you quantify it?
There's no direct metric that we see, but from our user base, right, people or our customers who are dependent on exports, we don't see any major slowdown in their volumes.
Okay, now talk to us about the plan to break even this fiscal year as you push towards profitability. How's that coming along?
So our plan to break even is on track. Q4 is the first quarter where we expect us to break even as a company. It's all, if you look at where we have invested, we have really invested in a resilient supply chain where MSMEs can buy materials very reliably on our platform. Credit is an integral part of B2B ecosystem. And for enabling credit on our platform, we have about 11 lenders. We give about 500 crores of loans monthly on JSW One. That helps there's transmission of credit. It helps into transmission of that credit into purchase, and that purchase sits on a supply chain where we run last mile logistics for our customers. So, this is the stack of JSW One that's helping us scale up.
Okay, that's a lot of numbers you said. 11 lenders, 500 crore in loans. I think you said every month.
Every month, yeah.
Yeah. So just explain this to us. There's got to be risk associated with this kind of a trajectory, right? What is the credit risk associated with your own NBFC? Any risk related to the overall group? Because it's not clear to me what you're doing to really offset those risks as you head into a potential IPO and more visibility into your numbers.
So for us, risk on credit, say, right, is actually very diffused across the lenders who are lending on our platform. For lenders, JSW One becomes a gateway where they can access end customers, where their traditional lending does not reach directly, right? And also think of it as supply chain finance, right? It outruns every 60 days, every 90 days, and it has to be done every 90 days, renewed, right? So the technology stack, the tech stack of JSW One helps these lenders to lend over and over again, look at these customers, and look at the balance sheet of these customers, look at the risk that's coming out of the customers. The second part of our business is that JSW One, which is, we sell materials from our partner distributors, third-party distributors, and JSW Group, right? They all form sellers on our platform. So typically, the credit quality of this ecosystem is very high because with the control that we have on sellers, we actually have significant share of, a buyer's, volume in steel products today. So that helps us to really look at data correctly, accurately, in case there is stress in the market, in case there is stress in segments that we lend to, right, say tubes and barrels, say pipes and tubes, right? That gives us an overall span of what the market is doing and control that credit risk and give this information to lenders to price credit accurately, right? So that controls, that diffuses the risk. JSW One finances the lenders on the platform, right? So it's not the sole lender, or, I said 11 lenders give 500 crores monthly. JSW One is about like 10% of this business.
Understand. Can you give us an update on your plans to go for an IPO? And I know that a lot depends on the regulator, but what is your goal? And I need a date, a time, and all the way to the second.
We also need one, to be honest. So, our plans to go IPO, we intend to list within the next 18 to 24 months. I think given the state of the business, given the performance that we have had in H1, given the markets that they look like in Q3 of this financial year, we feel confident that we'll be able to file on time, get our approvals on time, and be ready by next year.
Okay. We got to talk about JSW Steel and generally the conversation around steel. How serious is the threat from low-cost steel imports, especially from China? There's this conversation around China dumping into India. How should India balance competitiveness with protection? There is also this latest information that India is considering extending an import tariff, locally known as safeguard duty on some steel products to counter cheaper imports, primarily from China. Now, this is according to sources. So, I don't know where JSW and you fit into this, but can you throw some light into this conversation?
Yeah. I think safeguard duty is essential for us as we grow as a country. We need to focus demand and supply locally as a business. And this is just not about pricing, right? It's about quality of material that finds its way into the country. All of this goes into building our silos, building, say, heat exchangers, building our LPG cylinders, and incorrect steel that comes into the country, which is not meeting, say, any technical specifications that manufacturers lay out, right? And it finds its way into hands of an MSME. I think it's just something that we need to stop as a country. Now, safeguard only attacks at the pricing aspect of it. It makes it the domestic mills at par with any import price that comes into the country. So, the MSME volume really shifts into high quality steel that we make in the country.
Okay. Appreciate that. Last question, and if we could get a brief answer. You also have that dedicated NBFC arm that works closely with banks and financial institutions for easing credit options at checkout. But now you have competitors potentially, Amazon and Walmart-backed Flipkart. What's your view on that? They're also preparing to offer loans to small businesses.
Yeah, I think lending is a large market. It's not one person, winner take all business. The result that we have done in the commerce side of the business, where we own a large part of the MSME market in India, I don't think we'll replicate the same in NBFC. NBFC will be, every player will have its game. For us, we really control a massive supply chain. We intend to be a 50,000 crore GMV company over the next 3 years, a lakh crore over the next 6 years. And it gives us tremendous data, insane amount of data as a business to mine, to look at customers, to look at lend. And this is the ecosystem where we and our partner banks will continue to lend on. On Amazon and Walmart, I think there is enough space for each player to sort of play.
All right. But you have your advantages, right, because of the group. Appreciate that, Gaurav. Gaurav Sachdeva from JSW One Platforms joining us right here on Inside India. Thanks so much.